RBKC Licensing Subcommittee, and thank you for attending. I'm Councillor Burns, and I'll be chairing this meeting. It is being held by Microsoft Teams and is also being streamed live. The committee for this hearing comprises of Councillor Lindsay and Councillor Wade and myself. We are joined remotely by Sharon Dyball from the Council's licensing team, our legal advisor Heidi Titcombe. Also with us is our committee officer Emily Beard and Yusuf Olo, who will be monitoring our connections and help with any technical issues we may have. Before we start the hearing for this case, just a few ground rules. Please keep your microphones on mute until you're invited to speak, and please make sure mobile phones are on silent. Do keep your cameras on when not speaking if you wish, unless we run into connection problems. Please note that the Microsoft Teams chat function is not monitored, so please do not use it. In addition, this is a public meeting and the chat would not be seen in the live stream. Everyone should have received the procedure for this meeting regarding the use of cameras and how to connect back if you lose connection. Thank you. The case before us today is to consider the objections submitted by the Police and Environmental Health against a temporary events notice for street-only BLPU Maxilla Walk. There are a few administrative matters I need to deal with. Firstly, declarations of interest. I confirm that I have no declarations of interest to make regarding this item. Can Councillor Lindsay and Wade confirm whether or not they have any declarations to make? Councillor Lindsay?
None, thank you, Councillor Burns.
Thank you. Councillor Wade?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Election of substitute chair. The quorum of this committee is 2, as there is always a possibility that I may lose connection temporarily during the broadcast. I am nominating Councillor Lindsay to be appointed as substitute chair. Councillor Wade, please confirm whether this nomination is seconded. Councillor Wade?
Yes, Madam.
Councillor Wade seconds the nomination. Thank you very much indeed. I confirm that Councillor Lindsay has been appointed substitute chair. Thank you, colleagues. Procedure. For clarity, I will outline the procedure of the meeting, which, as already mentioned, has been circulated with papers and are online. First, the licensing officer, Sharon Dyball, will give a brief outline of the application. Please, could you confirm your attendance?
Present, Chair.
Thank you. Secondly, I will ask the I won't ask the applicant, it's not here. Fine. Next, I will ask the legal advisor for the police, Mr. Rankin, to present his objection. He will have up to a maximum of 10 minutes to do so. Mr. Rankin, please confirm your attendance and advise whether you'll be calling any witnesses.
I can confirm that I will be attending and that I have PC Connolly who can help me if I run into difficulties, but I wasn't planning on calling him unless he wanted to hear from me.
Thank you. Questions will be asked of the police by members of the committee. So will our legal advisor. Next, noise and nuisance, Mr. Keith Mahaffey will present his objection. He will have up to a maximum of 10 minutes to do so. Please, could you confirm your attendance?
Good morning, Madam. Yes, I'm attending.
Thank you. Then questions will be asked of environmental health by members of the committee and our legal advisor. And finally, we will turn to the governance team to see if there are any issues that have been raised that we need to consider. There will be no summing up, and the committee will adjourn for a short period to make our decision. We will reconvene after the hearing, probably around 30 minutes. We'll see. I'll clarify that at the end to announce our decision. I would like to remind everyone that the committee has read the papers which comprise the main pack, so there is no need to repeat their content, but please do draw attention to certain points and pages, and governance will move the documents on the screen for us. Let's get going. Ms. Dyball, please can you outline the matter for us?
Thank you, Chair.
Good morning. This meeting is to consider objections from the Police and Noise and Nuisance Officer to a temporary event notice submitted by Mr. Anthony Julius, who proposes to provide regulated entertainment on Sunday the 25th and Monday the 26th of August between midday and 7 p.m. in an area beneath the Westway flyover at Maxilla Walk. A copy of the notice, plan and photographs of the area are included within the committee bundle starting on page 9. The Police and Council's Noise and Nuisance team are objecting on the grounds of public safety. No risk assessment or event management plan has been submitted, so the parties have no detail regarding security measures, crowd management, risks and how safety will be managed. There has been no consultation with Notting Hill Carnival Limited, and the proposed event is not one of the official sound systems. Copies of the objections are attached in the committee bundle starting at page 17, and in addition, the police have submitted some further papers, including correspondence with Mr. Julius. When determining the application and the objections, the committee can either issue a counter notice or take no action and allow the notice to have effect. As the premises does not benefit from a premises licence, no conditions can be imposed. I have nothing further to add at this stage, but I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. As Mr. Julius is not present, he will not be adding to his case, so we just have to go with the paperwork we have. So now let's go for the police objection. Can you please present your submission, and please do turn your camera on if you like. You have up to 10 minutes to do so.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I stress that the police are not anti-carnival. They want everybody to have a good carnival, but above all, they want it to be safe. And when the application of the temporary events notice was received by PC Connolly, he immediately contacted Mr. Julius because he wanted detail. He wanted detail about what the event management protocols were going to be and various other matters, such as the risk assessment, all of which were missing from the application. Now, you will have seen that he wrote that email on the 1st of August. It's contained in your pages at page 21. And no response was received to that. So Mr. Connolly followed up with 2 telephone calls, and regrettably, Mr. Julius did not engage with PC Connolly, and that's a matter of some regret. So we are left with the unenviable position of objecting to the temporary events notice. Can I just say that in general terms, the planning for the carnival, as you can imagine, is many months before the carnival itself takes place, usually in about April or May. Notting Hill Carnival Limited are extremely important in the build-up to that, because they are the person that liaises with the police and the responsible authorities over such matters as the location of the patches where these sound systems are located. The application site is not one of the approved patches. It lies outside the carnival route, and that brings with it its own difficulties for PC Connolly. Ideally, the sound systems are located on the carnival route itself. But this is on the very edge of Sector 6, it's called, and it lies some streets away from the carnival route itself, and therefore doesn't form part of the planning infrastructure. The planning infrastructure deals with stewards and toilets and barriers and residents and all of those things. None of those particular aspects have been engaged in Mr. Julius's application. So when one looks at his application site, and because we still don't have the details that we require, we still maintain our objection, and you will note that PC Connolly's detailed letter of objection is contained at page 17, and he sets out in clear terms the aspects of your policy document relating to temporary events notices which have not been engaged with. In particular, he draws attention to paragraph 25.4 of your policy. The applicant is expected to show how he or she would support the licensing objectives with regard to the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance. That's just in general terms. We've got no detail. Insofar as 25(5) is concerned, it's subparagraphs 2, 3 and 4. How will Mr. Julius control the numbers? He says, well, it's going to be 300. Well, how is he going to keep to that? Details of stewarding and security arrangements. We don't even know if he's going to have security and stewards. Draft risk assessments and draft management plan. We've had none of those, despite the request for them. And then it's expected that the applicant would discuss the contents of the draft management plan with the police, and it follows obviously that he's not done that. And importantly, what's also expected is that Mr. Julius and other applicants will put their application in some 6 weeks before the carnival itself. So that would be the 13th of July. So it's late from that point of view, but that wouldn't matter so much if we had the detail that we require. So that is the difficulty that we face, and we are left with the inevitable conclusion that this is an application that should be refused and you should issue a counter notice. The details of that objection letter and PC Connolly, as I say, I've got with me if you need to ask him any further questions, but we would respectfully invite you to refuse the application.
Thank you. Now, any questions from the committee? Councillor Lindsay?
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Rankin, this may be for you or maybe for Mr. Connolly, I don't mind. I was forwarded, as were all other members of the committee, a document yesterday, Notting Hill Carnival Sound Systems 2024, with some 36 names on it, roughly half of which were for TENS and the other half of which were for PREM licenses. How many other ones did not receive a risk assessment?
PC Connolly, can you help with that?
Good morning all. Paul Connolly from the Met Central Licensing Team. We've been receiving and reviewing all the TENS and premise applications for Notting Hill Carnival Limited. You're right to point out that of those 36 sound systems, some are on premises licenses, some are on TENS. The process for the temporary event notices this year is for them to liaise with Notting Hill Carnival Limited way ahead of the event and to submit risk assessments and event management plans to Notting Hill Carnival Limited. They then have Gallowglass, an organisation who works for them, who review those event management plans and risk assessments, and they all confirm with us that that process has been duly completed. We have bi-weekly meetings with Notting Hill Carnival Limited and the local authority, Environmental Health, and at that meeting we will discuss those TENS for sound systems and whether the due process has been completed. And obviously, as suggested and spoken about, this hasn't occurred in this situation with them not being an official sound system or going through that process.
All right, can you just confirm? So this particular 10 to be, submitted by Mr. Julius is the only one that has not had a risk assessment or event management plan submitted. Is that correct?
Are you referring to all TENS for Notting Hill Carnival Limited, or just sound systems? Apologise.
Well, you can. The only document that I've got is the sound systems one in front of me, with some 36, and I'm not going to read them all out because it was sent to me yesterday, and I'm sure you know what they all are. I'd just be interested to know.
Of the premises license, they won't, because they'll have the premises license depending on their. And the TENS will be managed by Notting Hill Carnival Limited in terms of risk assessment and event management plans. Police will have sight of them if requested. If we have concerns about a particular TEN, we will request to view those and see them, and they'll be shared with us. Obviously, we had concern about this TEN coming outside the official organisation of it, so we requested the documents and they weren't forthcoming, unfortunately. But Notting Hill Carnival Limited themselves will hold those risk assessments and event management plans.
For all of the items that are listed in that list that we have on our screen?
Yes, they will hold documentation. Obviously, premises license slightly different depending on the age. So I haven't got access to all of them, but yeah.
But just so I'm absolutely sure that Notting Hill Carnival would hold risk assessments for all the licenses there for TENS, even if you haven't seen them.
That is a process that RBKC and Westminster Council agreed this year. Yes.
So this is the only exception that you're aware of.
Well, this is a sound system. It's not an official sound system. So we've received TENS for other provision of regulated entertainment. So that might fall in. They may have not submitted risk assessment or EMP that some of my colleagues are dealing with. So we've had similar applications where we haven't received a risk assessment EMP. But for these, Notting Hill Carnival Limited will deal with the risk assessments, EMPs, and hold those via Gallowglass. RBKC might be able to enlighten you more on the procedure that was agreed, but that's how we've been working this year.
Well, I will put Mr. Mahaffey on notice that we'll probably ask him a similar question. Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Thank you, Mr. Rankin.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wade, any questions?
Yes. You said that PC Connolly had telephoned the applicant and he didn't engage, i.e. did PC Connolly actually speak to the applicant, or you just couldn't get through to him, or you had a conversation which didn't deliver?
On the first occasion, the telephone call was not picked up. On the second occasion, Mr. Julius was on a train and did not telephone Mr. Connolly back. And he did speak to him when he was on the train.
Yeah.
So how did the conversation go? You introduced yourself and you said...
If I might interject, apologies, Councillor. Yes, I called him first on the 31st of July. And he was on a train and could not speak to me extensively. So I introduced myself, saying I was from the police. I'm a sergeant on the Metropolitan Police licensing team, and I'll be dealing with his application. I needed to speak to him with it. Because he was on the train on the way to appointment, the call was truncated, and I said I'd ring him back and write to him. I then wrote to him, with the emails being detailed by Mr. Rankin, and after receiving no response, given we were near the deadline for the 10, I then called him again and had a more extensive conversation where I outlined the contents of my email and what would be required from him. He stated he'd been looking at it and would send something in to me. That was not forthcoming, unfortunately. That was the last phone call I had with him.
All right, I just needed clarification that you'd spoken to him, you
Yes.
outlined what you meant or you needed.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. I have a question. So he, in the papers, it says that he's been doing this event since 2015. Have there been any sort of previous complaints, concerns? Are we missing something?
I believe there have been unauthorised events at that location during Carnival, which police and other emergency services have had to attend to deal with. So I believe events that have not been licensed, so to speak, or authorised and acknowledged in the 10 have occurred there. Yes.
Just leading on from that, Westwade Trust own the land, and they've not given permission for Mr. Julius to erect his sound system there. So there may be issues of trespass if Mr. Julius had been granted his 10 and gone ahead with the event.
Okay, I just want to, are there any specific things that have happened since 2015 that we could have more detail on? Obviously, you know, if they have been not noted, but has there been any sort of direct problems, issues, arrests, disorder, anything like that?
I joined the Met Central Licensing team circa 2020, and we had some of the COVID years then for Carnival. So the last 2 years, I know there was disruption there last year where police were sent and tried to disperse it. I wasn't there personally. I was on night duty last year, unfortunately, and the officers who went are currently on annual leave, such is. But there was a need for police to attend that location due to an event taking place that hadn't go through the formal application process. But I do not have that documentation to bear.
What issues present themselves for the police if an event is licensed and it's not within the carnival route itself? Why does that present difficulties?
As alluded to earlier, the carnival infrastructure is set up very specifically for those events and sound systems being planned for months in advance. We are talking stewarding, fire safety, toilets, consultation with residents who know what is occurring and when is it occurring. If something is going to occur outside that boundary, there may be considerable concerns for residents. And again, that support infrastructure from all the emergency services and other support services is not in place. And that makes it extremely difficult for the police to react accordingly and to ensure safety.
Okay, thank you. All right, now any questions from our legal officer?
Thank you. I've just got two questions, if I may, of P.S. Connolly. The second conversation that you had with Mr. Julius, what was the date of that?
That would be the 1st of August.
1st of August, thank you. And the second question I had is in relation to Mr. Julius saying that they've operated there since 2015. Is it the police case that there's never been an authorised tent in this location for Mr. Julius since 2015?
Looking back at the previous Notting Hill Carnival Limiteds I've worked at, there has not been. I'm not privy to the records in 2015, 16, 17 or 18, but I have no record of an official confirmed event taking place there.
So that goes back to 2020 when you joined, is it?
Yes. Again, we're making the objection based on the events this year, but last year certainly there was no authorised event to take place.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions whilst we're here? No, okay. Now for noise and nuisance objection, Mr. Mahaffey, can you please present your submission? Please do not turn your camera on it. Please do turn your camera on if you like. You have up to 10 minutes to do so.
Right. Good morning, Madam Chairman. Mr. Rankin has clearly outlined the safety implications of Carnival. Carnival is not about noise, it's about safety. It's basically making sure that people that are at Carnival are safe at all times. Now, that's the reason why we have a very stringent control in regards to risk assessments and event management plan. We've got to keep the members of the public safe, and we've got to ensure that people coming to Carnival are not put at undue risk. Now, Mr. Julius has put in a 10 for this location. I've done 30-something carnivals, and we've never authorised a temporary event notice at this location. Mr. Julius has not got permission from the landlords or the owner of the land to hold this event. If he hasn't got a proper event management plan and a safety plan in place, how are we to know that there will not be undue risk? Mr. Julius is holding an event outside the Carnival footprint. The Carnival footprint is to the east of here on the other side of Ladbroke Grove. And clearly what he is doing is extending it. And by so extending it, he's causing public nuisance to residents by playing his music up to 7 p.m. in the evening. I understand we've had a number of unauthorised events taking place here. As you appreciate, when Carnival takes place, it's very difficult to go in and remove sound systems. What we try to do is to prevent them setting up in the first place. And Mr. Julius has illegally set up in the past, and basically he has played till very, very late in the evening. And that's an impact on residents. We want Carnival to finish at 7 p.m. for the sound systems and for the floats to slowly work their way out of the Carnival area by 9 p.m. in the evening. There has to be some sort of balance between residents' right of enjoyment of their property and Carnival taking place. And we cannot have a situation where people come in and inadvertently create what they want to do and additional noise to residents. And clearly that's what Mr. Julius doesn't seem to understand. It has to be that balance. Also, we want to ensure that our sound systems are associated with the organisers, and the list of 36 sound systems that Councillor Lindsay brought up are the authorised systems. They are operated in association with Carnival, Notting Hill Carnival Limited, the organisers, and they look at the risk assessments. They look at the event management plans. They ensure that their members of the base sound systems that run these sound systems, that they have the appropriate measures in place, the appropriate training in crowd dynamics, in crowd safety, and they ensure that things are as safe as we possibly can. Mr. Julius is not a member of the BASE Sound System Association, British Associations of Sound System, which is BASE, and clearly we do not know that he will run a safe and efficient system. We can't have people just turning up at Carnival. We need people who are there, people who understand the safety, understand crowd dynamics, and are willing to work with us to provide that balance between residents' enjoyment and people coming to Carnival and enjoying themselves. So, Madam, clearly what has been submitted by Mr. Julius is totally inappropriate for the location. It is extending Carnival, it's creating nuisance to residents, it's possibly going to create a very unsafe situation, and from the perspective of promoting the 4 licensing objective, it will not promote the public safety, probably the crime and disorder, as well as the public nuisance key objectives. And therefore, Madam, you have to refuse this temporary event notice. It has to be, a counter notice has to be served. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, any questions from the committee? Councillor Lindsay.
Mr. Mahaffey, thank you for that. I am going to repeat in a slightly different way the question I put to Mr. Rankin and Sergeant Connolly. How many of the TENS submissions that you have seen do not have a risk assessment or event management plan? Is this an anomaly, yes, or is this?
This is an anomaly. All authorised sound systems that have gone through the Carnival organisers and the British Association of Sound Systems have got their event management plans and the risk assessments overlooked and overseen by Gallowglass, who are the experts for the organisers. Mr. Julius has not engaged with the organisers. He hasn't gone through that process. We do not have any details of how he's going to operate and whether he will provide a safe Carnival experience.
I think you've answered my question to not quite the answer I was hoping for in one regard, but thank you for being absolutely honest that it is the anomaly and the exception compared with all the others. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Wade, any questions?
Yes, if if it's outside the area, designated area, does that mean, for example, clearing up, because there's always a lot of clearing up after Carnival, whether or not that wouldn't be within the designated area and therefore not covered?
Councillor, I cannot answer that question. My understanding is that there are litter sweeps that go around the whole of the north of the borough, and they clear up, because it's not just the area that the Carnival zone that the rubbish is dropped in. We have people who are walking back to the various tube stations or leaving the area, and there is litter in those areas. So I would expect the area to be cleaned as part of the overall scheme to clean the area.
So I understand that in the past that location has been used and has been unauthorised. Are you aware of any problems being reported to the borough as a result?
Yes, we have had complaints in the past with regard to live music at that location. The problem is moving round the Carnival area in the evening is very, very difficult. We can only go out with police. We can't just go out to a sound system and say to a sound system, you must turn off, you must stop. without police assistance, and police are extremely stretched in the evening because of clearing the area up and getting people out and getting people safely away from the place, that we haven't been able to witness it. But clearly the situation is, it's not an authorised sound system. It shouldn't be there. It's illegally positioned on this land. It hasn't got permission of the owner of the land. There are stalls that are there too, which are also unauthorised. And clearly it is not appropriate for this to be here. It is not part of the carnival area, and it should not be operating outside the carnival zone.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, any questions from our legal officer?
No, madam, thank you.
At this stage, I'd like to ask our legal officer to deal with any further queries she may have. Anything? And our
Thank you,
licensing
Chair.
officer.
Thank you, Chair. I have no questions.
Okay, and our licensing officers, anything to add?
Nothing to add, Chair. Thank you.
And our governance officers, anything you'd like to add?
Nothing to add.
Okay, thank you. We have reached the end of this meeting. The committee now has all the information needed, and we will retire to make our decision in private session. We will reconvene this hearing in, I'd say, 30 minutes, should be good, to verbally announce our decision. A summary determination will be also sent to the parties today or tomorrow, and a full decision will follow as soon as possible thereafter. The time limit for appealing the decision will not commence until the full decision has been sent to the parties. So when we come back into this session, I will confirm that we are reconvening the meeting so everyone is ready to attend. Thank you for attending, and see you in about 30 minutes. Thank you.
from
We're present.
licensing.
Present.
I'm present.
Right.
And I'm
Just-
present.
Okay, lovely. That's very helpful. Thank you. We're just waiting for the two of the members to rejoin.
Is everybody here now? Can everyone hear? Everybody here?
Yeah, can hear. Thank you.
All right. Yes, Councillor Burns, we can.
Great. Okay. So I'm going to take it that everyone is on this call now, so I can see you mostly are. The committee has remotely considered objections from the police and environmental health opposing a temporary events notice 10, which has been submitted by Mr. Anthony Julius, premises user, to use an area of land beneath the Westbury Bridge from the Maxilla Club to Bramley Chemist to provide regulated entertainment for up to 300 persons on Sunday, the 25th of August, 2024, between the arranged hours of 12 to 1900, and on Monday, the 26th of August, 2024, between the hours of 12 and 1900, the event. Mr. Julius, despite being contacted, did not attend today's committee hearing. The committee took into account his written application. The Metropolitan Police objected to the 10 on the grounds that the 10 would undermine the public safety licensing objective. The police were represented by counsel at the hearing. Environmental Health also objected on public safety grounds and attended the hearing. The committee has considered the committee papers and the submissions made by the parties, both orally and in writing. In reaching its decision, the committee has had regard to the relevant legislation, the Secretary of State's guidance, and the Authority's Statement of Licensing Policy, SLP. In summary, the committee decided, after taking into account all the individual circumstances of the case and the public safety, that the prevention of crime and disorder licensing objectives, to issue a counter notice under Section 105 of the Licensing Act 2003 for the event. This notice means permission for the licensable activities requested in the temporary event notice has not been approved. The committee decided to allow the temporary event notice would, in this instance, undermine the public safety licensing objective, and it is determined to issue a counter notice under Section 105 of the Licensing Act 2003. A copy of the reasoned decision will be provided without undue delay. If the premises user or the police would like to appeal against the decision, such appeal must be made to the Magistrates' Court within 21 days from the date of notification of this determination, but in any event no later than 5 working days before the start of the proposed temporary event. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Burns. Thank you, officers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. That's the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Sergeant Connolly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.